Welcome to the Mechanical Room. A Centrotherm production focusing on all things in and around the HVAC industry. And now, your hosts, Michael Sokaris and Matthew Pryce.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Mechanical Room. I think it's episode 4, April 2021. Welcome back. We've got an exciting show today. Matthew, what's the story today?
So yeah, thanks, Mike. It is April. It seems like this Q1 has sort of flown by, and this is the 4th installment of the Mechanical Room. If you guys haven't had a chance to check out the previous episodes, I do recommend them. We've had some really good guests on already, and we have a great guest today as well. We'll get to that in a little bit, but we are on, of course, if you're watching this on YouTube, great. You can see our smiling faces. If not, Anchor, Spotify, Apple Music, Google, anywhere where you get podcasts. If it's not on, please contact us and let us know. I will make that adjustment to make sure that this content is available wherever you do stream. But yeah, episode 4. This has been a lot of fun. Our last episode had Talbot from Hardy, who is a friend of ours and a friend to our company, and we're friends to the organization and members. So I mean, I thought that was one of our I thought it was a great interview.
I enjoyed it thoroughly. I learned a lot. I thought I knew a lot about Hardy, but it was very enlightening. And Talbot is a pro. I mean, he handled all our questions. They weren't queued up front, so he was getting them cold, and he nailed them. He's very knowledgeable guy.
Yeah, he is, and it's really nice that we've been able to draw upon some of our industry friends here, especially the onset of this podcast, and get some like really nice names and really interesting folks.
A players, right? A players.
Yeah, absolutely. The top tier, folks in this industry that are Mechanical Room, and a phrase that I'm going to pioneer here, Mechanical Room adjacent, which is a very real part of the Mechanical Room. There are plenty of people like Talbot, like yourself and myself, that don't often get down under the drain pan or other technical things that I have no idea what they mean exactly. But we do help the process roll along in our own ways. And our guest today, Jeff Superle, is one of those guys. He's the national accounts manager or national sales manager, that is, for Mechanical Business, a trade publication that is exclusively in Canada, and covers the Mechanical Room. It's essentially a very similar vibe to our podcast, in as much as they're speaking to contractors, to distributors, to engineers, specifiers, a little bit of everything. It's so I have a feeling he's going to be a really interesting guest coming right up.
Yes, it's great. I'm looking really forward to seeing Jeff again. I haven't seen him in a long time, given COVID. But first, let's go into the Show Us Your Pipe monthly segment. It's April 2021. Show Us Your Pipe winner needs to be announced. What do we have for the month, Matthew?
Thank you, Michael. It is April, and we are going back again, of course, to the Mechanical Room to give our swag pack prize to a friend of ours who we go way back, someone who has been consistently posting Show Us Your Pipe types photography since the advent of the internet, or since the advent of Inaflu, if you will. Mr. Eric Silva of Silva Mechanical. Congratulations, sir. We have selected you as our April winner for this beautiful Navien install. It is an NCB 240-110H for all you tech geeks out there. Quite honestly, the venting here is so super straightforward. As you can see, up, out, there was a couple little elbows in there, true. But what I really want to highlight is, Silva's overall craftsmanship. There's a tremendous amount of stuff going on here, and it's all neatly done. Grundfos products and Zilmet and a handful of others that you'll recognize on there. Everything nicely supported. It's got the nice back plate. It's clean. It's easy to look at. You know that if he had to go do maintenance on it, it'd be very simple for him to get to whatever need to be done. And I mean, this is the kind of professionalism that Silva puts out there regularly. Hashtag Silva knows tankless. He clearly does. I mean, if you look through his LinkedIn or his Instagram, I mean, it's nothing but stuff like this. Really, really clean. He did get the Navian shout out of the week, I believe, last week for something that looks, very, very similar to this type of thing. So congratulations to you, Mr. Silva. You are our Show Us Your Pipe winner. I'll be in touch with some accolades beyond prizes and beyond. We love you, buddy. I'll be in touch real soon. So congratulations, and we'll be right back with more Mechanical Room.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Mechanical Room. We've got an interesting guest this month, the month of April. I believe it's our 4th episode, and I will turn it over to Mr. Pryce for proper introductions.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And I'm very excited to have my friend Jeff here. So let me give you a little preamble about Jeff. He did a great job on his bio here, very complete. And I'm just going to go right through it because there's a lot of stuff here, and we're going to get kind of into his resume and and what he does, of course, in a job that is sort of mechanical room adjacent, if you will. This is a podcast that's all about the mechanical room itself. And Jeff, I don't think turns a lot of wrenches on boilers himself, but certainly deals with those who do. So let's get right into this. So after spending more than 5 years in the broadcast industry, which is going to be my first question, let's hear a little bit about that. And welcome back to the broadcast industry. Jeff decided it was time for a career change. He considered several options and enrolled in business marketing program at Humber College. And after expediting the program and finishing 18 months, Jeff was back in the workforce. He landed at a company north of Toronto in the gift and tableware industry, which is probably close to as exciting as pipes. I'm not sure. It depends on what kind of gifts, I guess, right? While he was there, he learned a number of vital skills in business, marketing, customer service, and sales. And after nearly 3.5 years, Jeff was ready for a new challenge that took him to his current employer, Mechanical Business Magazine, one of my favorite books serving the Canadian market. Jeff has been working as the National Accounts Manager with Mechanical Business since March of 2014. During that time, he's helped numerous companies in the plumbing, HVACR, and hydronics industries develop their marketing and advertising plans to reach mechanical contractors, wholesalers, and mechanical consulting engineers. In October 2017, Jeff was promoted to National Sales Manager. So, I mean, that's it for you. Nowhere to go anymore. In this role, Jeff is tasked with continuing to grow sales with Mechanical Business, come up with new promotions, and help transition many customers to the digital offerings of Mechanical Business, which I think we're going to hit on a lot given the how we're working these days in pandemic and whatnot, right? So currently, Jeff is the chair of the CIPH Yes Executive Committee, having spent the last 2 years as vice chair. He and his fellow board members aim to attract young people and recent grads to careers in the plumbing, HVACR, and hydronics industries, which is actually a great tie-in with our previous guest, who does a lot of outreach in that way as well. So some synergy here. Currently living in Vaughan, Ontario with his wife Stephanie and his daughter. He enjoys cycling, weightlifting, and cheering on his beloved Toronto Blue Jays, BC Lions, and Seattle Seahawks. Welcome, Jeff Superle, National Accounts Manager with Mechanical Business. You're in the Mechanical Room. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so very much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, full disclosure, Jeff and I are personal friends. We go to dinner when we are at trade shows together and whatnot, and stay in touch about all things HVACR related. And beyond that, I'm a musician. Jeff's wife is a musician. I think I'm gonna ask you to tell the famous flute story a little bit later on. But let's kick it right off with the first element you said in your own biography. Broadcast industry. You're back in it here on the Mechanical Room podcast. So welcome. And I don't think I know that about you. So where did you get your start? What kind of broadcasting experience do you have?
Sure, absolutely. So I guess for my entire childhood and young adulthood, I always wanted to be a sports broadcaster, and specifically I wanted to do play-by-play. I love doing football and baseball play-by-play. I did 1/2 season of single A baseball play-by-play back in 2004. And I think anyone who's in that industry that will tell you, in order to make it, you need a little bit of luck. There's a lot of hard work, but you do need a little bit of luck. And I was missing out on opportunities, and sort of what told me it was time to leave was I applied to a job in the Northwest Territories, which is northern part of Canada. And when I didn't even get an interview, I was like, okay, that's it. Not this isn't for me. So that's when
what sports broadcasting position was available in the Northwest Territories?
It was a news and sports reader. So
Okay.
it would right, yeah. So you'd get the copy, you'd put it in your own words, and then you'd read it out. So
Yeah.
I couldn't be
For
happier
radio or
with
TV, or what was it for?
it was for radio. It
Right.
was that specific job was for radio. And so once that hit, and then I started learning a little bit more about what my wife now girlfriend at the time wanted to do. I was like, you know what, I think it's time for a career change. And quite frankly, I couldn't be happier with the move that I made and the industry that I'm in.
Yeah, and I think you do a great job managing our account. And I always see you out and about, shaking hands at the trade shows and stuff like that. I mean, we're gonna get those trade shows back anytime soon. What do you think about that?
I know that there's one scheduled for Canada for November, and I'd love to see it happen, because I mean they're integral parts of our industry, but I just think for 2021 we're still going to be in a holding pattern for trade shows, and so I think 2022 will be the year that they do make a comeback. I just think it's
talking to some folks up in Canada, and you guys, we're in April right now, but it looks like Canada and many provinces are kind of clamping back down again, shutting down restaurants.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would not be surprised if it doesn't come together. Which one is it though for November? Is it a SIFE event or is it something different?
It's SciFX West, yeah. So
SciFX West,
and this is just my own personal opinion, and I think the people at CIPH are doing a very good job working with the local officials, trying to get it to move forward. But I mean, just with the vaccine rollout that we've had here in Canada, we've had some stops and starts, and I just think that personally that it's still gonna be difficult. I hope that it does. I really hope that it does move forward, because I miss it. As Matthew said, I miss walking the shows. I miss talking to people. I miss the communication and just the personal connection that goes on. But I think for 2021, it's still pretty early, given what we're still going through.
We can keep our fingers crossed.
Absolutely. Yes.
Let me ask you a question. For your industry, that what you are specifically in, it's kind of like the old MTV, right? Video killed the radio star. So did digital kill print media? Where is print media these days? How are you guys doing?
Sure. So I can sort of talk about it on a macro level, and then I can sort of talk about it specifically to this industry. So I'll start on the macro level. And did print kill, say, daily newspaper, or sorry, did digital kill daily newspapers? I think it did, because there's a lot of advertising dollars that are being taken away, right? Like, the last time I picked up a newspaper, there was no classified section. 10, 20 years ago, that's how newspapers made a lot of their money, where, you had to sell a car. What did you do? You took out a $65 3-line box to try to sell your car. Well, now you have a number of different options. In terms of this industry, print is still king, believe it or not. We poll our readers every single year. We say, do you want print? Do you want digital? Do you want both? 92% of people come back and say they want the print magazine. So it has to be a blend between the two, between digital and print. I mean, when we look at the statistics, 74% of our subscribers are 40 years and older, and 54% are 55 and older. So if you look at that target demographic, that's where they're still very, very attracted to print.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting point you made about the sort of the small $65 ad. The first people that are going to go away are going to be the people with the smaller budgets. And then, I mean, if you flip through your magazine or any of your competitors or any of the American, corollaries, there's a certain group of manufacturers who are, turning over hundreds of millions of dollars every year that are, pretty much mainstays with the full page ads all the time. So there is a bumper of that going on. It's the small stuff. It's the folks like us who are, we full page every month. I'd love to, but it's just not the reality for the numbers we work with, but then what ends up happening is, oh geez, we have this much for a quarter page versus some digital ads, and then it becomes a very, interesting conversation. Is this how are you managing that? I mean, I'm sure, as an account manager, as the guy who's running this, you got to be having that conversation basically every day.
Yeah, I am, and one of the things that we've really sort of seen over the course of the past year since the pandemic has started is the need to get the message out instantly, right? And that's where we've seen a lot of customers go to digital, do our e-blasts, and that's one thing that I've helped them with. In terms of some of the companies that you're sort of mentioning, Matthew, print is now almost being seen as a premium product, because if you think about your ad being seen on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, someone is scrolling up and they'll scroll up, they'll see it, it'll count as an impression, but they'll spend maybe 2 or 3 seconds.
That's a lot. It's probably a lot, right?
Right, absolutely. Whereas if you're opening a magazine and you're reading an article and someone's ad is there, like whether it be a full page, half page, or even a quarter page, like you're mentioning, it's going to take that person time to read that article. They're probably going to flip back to it because there's going to be some technical information involved in it, and their eyes are going to be focused on that, and then they can spend more time looking at that ad. So in this industry, I've noticed that print has become more premium as compared to where it was 15 years ago, say.
I mean, well, 15 years ago, people don't even really have the architecture to support digital in some respects, right? So that's really fascinating. That's going to stick with me, actually, print as premium. I mean, as I design the ads for Centrotherm, and I mean, when you're trying to do something on a sliver versus a whole page, I mean, some of those ads are quite dynamic. And and of course there's room to breathe on a full page ad. So I mean, in some respects it's like paying for wasted space, but no, it sits there like a premium product. You have it's like somebody's in the back of a limo by themselves almost. And of course there is I mean, there's certainly something to be said about flipping through books, flipping through magazines. That is like a a tactile experience that, I mean, maybe the youngest generation doesn't have anymore nearly as much. I mean, you mentioned newspapers before. I read the New York Times all the time on my phone.
Right.
It's a weird universe.
It's a behavioral thing too, right? I mean, I've been doing this for a long time. It's like routine for me to, I'm traveling somewhere, I throw a stack, of trade publications in the backpack or in the bag while I'm on a plane, takeoff and landing. That's trade publication time. But I do miss that now. It's a little harder to do that on a plane. So I do like, maybe because I'm old, I do like the hard copies as well.
But there's like a little bit of a postscript to that too, because I get, I don't know, hundreds and hundreds of emails from Mike Sokaris, right? And some of them are the digital links to the articles he read in the physical thing, right? So he can't hand me the magazine if he's on a plane in Detroit or something, but he can Google it, quickly find the headline, and then send it out to the team being like, this is pertinent information. And you do that regularly. I mean, so it's kind of in conjunction.
Digital, that's really a strong advantage. And I'm always doing that. It's like, hey, here's a topic, about a new appliance from an OEM, let's get some data. Or I'm constantly pushing out digital stuff to the team here at Centrotherm.
So what I'll say to that, I hit on the fact that I can't, 92 or 95% of people get their information from our magazine. The next highest stat is 63% then use the website. So that goes exactly to what Mike was talking about. So you see an ad in the print magazine, or you see an article in the print magazine, and then you follow up with the company website to see what are the specs, how can it be used, who carries it, who's the sales rep that I can talk to. So they all work in conjunction with each other.
Yeah, true. Maybe if we can maybe step back a bit there's all kinds of publications, right? Some are geared towards wholesale, some are geared towards, mechanical contractors, some are general industry stuff. Who is your audience at Mechanical Business? How do you carve up, your readership, if that's a word?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're in terms of the print magazine, we're the largest direct request magazine in Canada for the magazine. We have over 22,000 subscribers. The bread and butter are our contractors. We have over 16,000 contractors subscribing to the magazine. The next biggest are the mechanical consulting engineers. They're the people who, spec the projects. So that's they enjoy reading it. And then we say just about every single brick and mortar wholesaler in Canada, of which we reach over 2,400 of those people. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good. I mean, it's it's a good fit for us naturally. I mean, that's why we've chatted over the years and been in the book because of that overlapping sort of demographic. One of the things that we wanted to talk about, so you mentioned contractors and the impetus, if you will, to as a callback to episode 2 with our guest, a fellow BC fella, Terrence, who I believe of Impetus Contracting. He seems like he gets name dropped on every episode.
You love that word.
I have a man crush on the guy. What can I say? He's amazing. I'm jealous of his Instagram following. So he's a contractor. And the beginnings of us chatting about what we would maybe talk about here with you as a guest was the do's and don'ts, what contractors do well and do poorly in their advertising and in their marketing overall. And contractors are, of course, a listening demographic for here. So I was hoping you could maybe offer some advice to that respect. Sure. and maybe even break it down a little bit beyond, the very expensive full page premium ad to what might make sense for a firm, a small contracting guy, to something with several vans, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So in the B2B world, the magazine is still seen as the premium product. It's where you need to be. And when I say where you need to be, you need to incorporate both print and digital for the manufacturers, the wholesalers, all that. On the contractor side, since they're primarily talking to the homeowners, and I understand there is the commercial side, but if we're talking to the homeowners, the contractors need to have a digital presence, because where do most homeowners go to when something breaks down or they need something installed? They go to the website. I mean, I don't have a copy of the Yellow Pages in my home. Mike, Matthew, do you guys have copies of the Yellow Pages?
Right? As far as I understand it, the Yellow Pages is a printing of a small section of the internet. So right? I don't need that. I can access it.
Right. So you need to have some type of presence. And in Canada, we have a website called HomeStars where a lot of people will go to find a contractor, and a homeowner can put a bid out and say, this is what I have, this is what I need done, here's my location, and then people get follow-ups. But as a contractor, you need to have a presence, and you need to be vocal in that presence. So allow people to leave reviews, whether it be on Yelp or HomeStars. And if you happen to get a poor review, don't be afraid of it. I know in talking with contractors, there's a lot of them that don't want to be on Yelp or HomeStars because they're terrified of getting a horrible review. Look, I deal with a lot of clients. I'm sure there's some that say, I don't exactly enjoy dealing with Jeff. I'd like to think there are, but I'm sure everyone's human, right?
I've never met one yet, so.
Well, thank you.
And I ask everybody, so.
So to that point, if you receive a negative review, you have to reach out to the person and say, what did we do? Because when you receive a poor review, that's an opportunity to learn about what your company did wrong. Maybe the tech was having a bad day. Maybe you didn't set the expectations right for the customer when you were going through your initial diagnosis and sales process. But that's something that you can't be afraid of, and you need to be able to help the customer understand the expectations.
So as a massively insecure person, a bad review would crush me. So I can totally understand that. I would never want to do that. But I mean, at the same token, I totally get that. I mean, I would never, you certainly look for reviews, whether it's, some piece of plastic you buy from Amazon or somebody to install like a whole bunch of gas lines in your, I mean, they're critically important. I mean, certainly helps to have good ones on there. But somehow you can have 79 good ones and the one bad one might stick out. And you might want to address that. I mean, it's that's a fascinating thing, but they do live and die by those reviews.
Somewhere. Is this why you avoid all the annual review time? You're always canceling those meetings? Is that why you're?
No, I'm striving for the good ones. I've only ever gotten like I've been on the honor roll my whole life.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I've got a question for Jeff. A lot of in your magazine, there's a lot of kind of recurring authors,
yes,
that write publications. How does someone get published? I know you have industry leaders that are there talking about specific things, but how does someone get their material into your trade pub?
They reach out to our editor. They reach out to our editorial team, and if they have a story idea, then they bring it forward to our editorial team, and our editorial team will say, yeah, no, we are looking about this. We are interested in this. And this is what I always say to the manufacturers: you guys are the experts. The manufacturers are the experts in this industry. So our readers want to hear from you, right? And so if we're doing an article, then our editor needs to know who to speak to, and so that's something that we always work with, because a contractor doesn't really want to hear from me. They want to hear from the manufacturers, right? And think about all the knowledge that's shared at Sci-Fex West. And
are you saying you're not a full product expert on every one of your advertisers, various pumps and
just on Centrotherm, just on Centrotherm.
Have you? That's a sub question here. Second follow up to that. Have you ever gotten a tech call for one of your products then? Has somebody ever been like, hey, I'm having an issue with this Takeo unit or whatever it is, and like, hey, Jeff, help me out?
Believe it or not, yes. I have gotten some phone calls and emails from people saying, I've got this product, and I'm like, okay, let me and quite frankly, it happens more on the e-blast side. So we'll get an e-blast. We'll send out an e-blast, and then for whatever reason, they always reply to me, and they'll say, "Oh, I've got this project. You sent this out. How can you help me?" And so I always say, "Thank you very much for your email," and then I put them in touch with the salesperson at that company. But
I would have never thought that you would have there would be an outreach to you directly.
Well, I do believe your email is at the bottom of those e-blasts often, as a get in touch if you want to be. I think it's get in touch if you want to be in the e-blast or something like that. So it's very easy to just click the name. There's a name. It's blue. It's a link. It looks like an email address. This person's gonna solve my problems right now. I'm clicking. I don't care. We're doing it, right? So that's funny. Okay. So Mike asked about how to get in the pub, right? And yes, there are recurring folks. This is actually a question that Mike added to the list earlier. Do you have a favorite writer, and do you have like a favorite piece that's run that you've had, or that you've maybe even been instrumental in pushing forward or encouraging the editing desk to that kind of thing?
Sure. So the correct answer is I enjoy every single article and in the issue, but
so you're saying you're not in it for the pictures of the vent pipes and stuff. You're reading it for the articles.
Exactly.
Yes. They're all good.
But the ones I typically tend to gravitate towards would be Roger Groschmal's article and Doug McLean's. Doug McLean writes about marketing. Roger Groschmal talks about running a business. And just from my background, that's typically what I tend to gravitate towards. Just because Roger talks about how to run an HVAC business, but a lot of it is applicable to to business and marketing. And same with Doug. Doug is always talking about about marketing and how to market properly. I mean, in all seriousness, I mean, the articles are where I learn about a lot of the happenings in the industry, right? And a lot of the changes that are happening. So I do enjoy reading just about every single article.
I'm going to go macro for a quick second here.
Sure.
I'm going to ask you for your insight, Jeff. So you know, you guys probably, well, Matthew knows obviously, but you may not know. I came from the electrical side of things, and as much as it is different, there's a lot of similarities here. But one of the things that I found when I came here to Centrotherm is I was just like a consumer of media, right? To learn about the industry.
Yeah.
Again, it's very similar, but not to learn about the brands and the distributors and, you know, and all this stuff. And our podcast is about, you know, again, a high picture. It's about the mechanical room, everything and anything and everything around the mechanical room, the product, the reps, the distributors, the marketing, the advertising, the contractor, you know, the associations, just hitting on a couple of the guests that we've had now, you know, the trade publications. How do you see this all fitting? What is the purpose? If I can put it in this way, what is the purpose of mechanical business? How are you thinking about all the elements around that mechanical room? Because for me, I mean, you were, you know, I used your magazine to educate myself.
Yep.
How do you see it, and what is your purpose as, you know, a trade publication in a big picture?
Yeah, you hit on it, Mike. It's to educate and inform people in the industry all across Canada, to let them know about the products that are available, about the code changes. I'm sure they're going to hear about that somewhere else, but we'll be able to provide a little bit more information. Just bring everybody together and let everybody know this is what's happening. Or, you know, for example, on the plumbing side, we've got Fred Bretsky's articles, and he's always talking about, I ran into this problem once, here's how I solved it, right? And it's just educating, you know, for that purpose, plumbers to talk about, oh wow, if I ever encounter this problem, it's going to stick in my mind briefly, you know, this is how I'm able to tackle it.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I mean, I learned a lot about Canada from reading your magazine. I thank you for that.
Oh, thank you. And if you have any other questions about Canada, by all means, please let me know.
Will do. So maybe a Canadian question. Hockey, you said you were a Maple Leaf fan?
No, I was born and raised in BC, so I'm really a Vancouver Canuck fan. But
Okay.
if I were to be completely honest, in terms of sports hierarchy for me, baseball, football, hockey.
Really? Okay. As a Canadian, I am surprised. I thought, you know, hockey was, you know, the paramount of sports.
Your unrelenting stereotypes. What did you
I
think
know.
he was going to come with one of those hats with the ears on?
Yeah.
And,
So, you know,
Trapper
I
hat.
was born in Greece,
Okay.
and I will tell you, I'm an Edmonton Oilers fan. So go figure that one out.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Yeah. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. When hockey is going good, like the Olympics, the World Championships, a big tournament they have at Christmas time is called the World Juniors.
Yeah.
I'm all in. But what has alienated me from hockey is the Canadian team, specifically my Canucks, have been so bad for a number of years, and that's all we get to see, and it's just not fun to watch. So
Okay.
I'm like,
I get it.
is the Seahawks because of proximity to where you grew up?
it was.
And
yes,
then if
yes.
so, why not some of the other like Washington franchises, or like isn't there, what's the hockey team? Seattle doesn't even have a hockey team, do they?
They just got one.
They just got one. That's right. Okay.
So the Seahawks is my one. You're right for proximity, and because Canada doesn't have an NFL team. So the Canadian Football League team is the BC Lions. They were based out of Vancouver, and the NFL was the Seahawks. And when I started following, they were terrible. I mean, they were just they were one of the worst run franchises in the NFL. And I sort of related to that because I was sort of, you know, in elementary school and high school, I was sort of this, you know, pretty much still am, but I was sort of like an underdog in everything that I did, in every sport that I played. And the Seahawks were the ultimate underdogs. So I'm like, this is a team I can root for. They're not that good. They try really hard. And
So isn't it that much sweeter that then, like in your adulthood, after a lifetime, they finally, you know, start having, you know, winning it all? I mean, that's really what I mean, to me, that's what, like, that's the quintessence of being a sports fan. You know, I mean, like the Cubs come to mind. I was actually, coincidentally, I was in Canada on that World Series clinching game. I watched it, oddly enough, at the Rogers Center. I was in one of those hotels at the Rogers Center watching the Cubs play, you know, not in Toronto at that time. So, but I mean, that makes it all the sweeter when Seattle finally wins after being, I mean, you're a lifetime fan, right? Basically.
Yeah. So there's a funny picture from my best friend and I back in grade 9. In our foods class, he had to make a gingerbread house, and this was back in 1995, and the Seahawks had to win like their final game, and they would make it to the postseason for the first time since I think 83 or 84. Anyways, there's a picture of us doing the number 1, me with a Seahawk hat, him with his gingerbread house, and he didn't win the contest, and the Seahawks didn't make it to the playoffs. Anyway, he sent it. He was getting so frustrated with all these Seahawk fans coming out of the closet, you know, 7-8 years ago, that he posted on Instagram, and he goes, "Throwback Thursday to the original Seahawks fan in Vancouver when cheering for them was a complete embarrassment." so
that's amazing.
To your point, all that suffering, and then to finally see him win a Super Bowl was a lot of fun. Yeah.
That's pretty
Indeed.
cool. Yeah, I'm a Vikings fan for football, and I'm still waiting, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
And so what's your memory of like the Joe Carter years? You and I are the same age basically, and I have a vague recollection of that. I was, you know, very big Yankee fan when I was younger, and obviously, you know, that's a AL East rival. What's your memory of the Cito Gaston years?
I mean, it was spotty. I remember I would come home from school growing up in Vancouver on Friday evenings. The Blue Jays would always be on CBC, so I would always watch starting at 4 o'clock. I'd watch that Friday night game. Still remember watching the first World Series win with my dad in the bottom of the 11th when Carter jumped up and down after getting the ball on first base. I remember it was about 11 o'clock at night, and I was in grade 6. It was way past my bedtime, but my dad let me stay up to watch it. And then the next year, for that walk-off home run with Joe Carter, it was my, you know, two of my best friends who lived a couple houses down. We were watching it, and of course, you know, we were 12, 13, so we're jumping up and down off the couches and.
Yeah, that's amazing. I can only imagine that as one of your fondest memories. I mean, I have a similar one with the Yankees in 1996 after they had been pretty bad my whole life. The strike shortened year in '94 was actually the Blue Jays and the Yankees kind of vying for first place, and the Yankees were doing real well, but strike, that was that. And then, you know, obviously the Yankees went on to be very successful shortly thereafter. Losing to a Seattle team in 1995 before the dynasty would start, you know, the Mariners, whatnot. That was how come? Yeah, no Mariners fan for you.
Well, you know what? In my youth, where I was trying to figure everything out, when I was trying to figure life out.
That doesn't stop, right? 38 years later for me, I'm not there yet. So
he hasn't found himself yet.
I did, just because of the proximity. You know, it would be, you know, I'd watch the Blue Jays game from 4 to 7, and then from 7 to 10, I'd watch the Mariner game. So there was a time period from about 1995 to about 2000, 2001 where I watched a little bit more Mariners baseball. And then the Blue Jays sort of struck a different TV deal. Every single game of theirs was on. The Mariners weren't on TV as much, so I gravitated towards the Blue Jays again. And then having moved to Toronto in 2008. I mean,
there you go. It was all over for you.
Yeah.
It's funny. You're jarring all of these Sports Illustrated for Kids memories for me, because those Mariners teams were fierce. Edgar Martinez, Randy Johnson, of course, Ken Griffey was like the biggest star in the world at that time almost. Yep. That's to me, that's a golden age of baseball for me. You know, as well. So I kind of look. I mean, although they were Yankee rivals at the time as well, you know, a tough team for a very good reason. Of course, Jay Buhner has a hilarious mention on Seinfeld. He being traded from the Yankees to the Mariners. You know, that's a whole other thing.
For Ken Phelps, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was for Ken Phelps. And then of course the clip is George's dad perceives his son to be deceased and in an accident at Yankee Stadium or something like that, and rather than discuss his son's well-being with George Steinbrenner, he yells at him for trading Jay Buhner. How could you trade Jay Buhner?
He had a rocket for an arm, and oh yeah, no.
Those are some good. I mean, man, that was a good era. Like that's pre like weirdness with the steroids. It was after the strike, and it was before all of that calamitous stuff with the steroids. Kind of, I mean, that's like almost like an end of an era basically for baseball, and a new era starts afterwards. So that's
Speaking of
nice
stars,
one. Yeah,
speaking of stars, over Mr. Pryce's shoulder there, we do see some stars there. So when are we getting back on the cover of Mechanical Business? Mr. Pryce has, you know, he's running the table here.
3 times. We talk a dynasty of my own. Voted handsomest HVAC magazine publication cover model in 2016 through 2019, and then of course the pandemic ruined my streak. So I mean, this thing is taking away something from everybody.
So do we have a couple minutes for me to talk about that promotion that was?
Please do. It's actually,
I think it's really well done. That's why I bring it up.
It is honestly one of the best things I've seen at a trade show, bar none. I've done way more trade shows than I would ever want to in my life or ever thought I would do, and it is easily one of the best promotions that I've seen at one of those events.
Well, thank you. Our publisher Bruce Meacock was the one who came up with that, and it was very, very well received. So the first year we did it was 2016, and the cover person for the magazine for the March-April issue of 2016 was a gentleman by the name of Peter Mansbridge, and your Canadian viewers will know who it is. The best correlation that I can put is he's Canada's version of Walter Cronkite. That's
Walter Cronkite.
Yes, yeah. So he hosted an hour-long television news show on CBC called The National. So he was on the cover. About a month or so, or a couple weeks after the CMPX show, we got this call from a woman saying, "My son was on the cover of Mechanical Business. How can I get some extra copies?" And we were like, what issue? What issue? Yeah. And she's like, "He was on the cover of the March-April issue." And we're like, "You're Peter Mansbridge's mother? What is?" Oh, okay. Like, so we were trying to figure. We're like, "What's your son's name?" And so she gave us this. Anyway, with that, everybody got a digital copy. This person shared it on their social media feed. His mom saw it. She thought he was on the real cover. So instead of saying, "Oh, that was just a promotion," we said, "We'll see if we have some extra copies around." And
we went with it.
Of course, we didn't want to. She was like, he had such a hard time at school, and
I'm so proud of my boy.
Yeah, basically, he's doing so well now, and we're like, that's a great story. We love hearing those stories, but so we didn't want to let her know that it was just the promotion. So
we haven't told Matthew that it wasn't the real issue either.
This has been very enlightening, and you know, that insecurity that I alluded to is now crashing back. My anxiety's off the charts now. I thought I was some sort of partial celebrity in the HVAC world in Canada, so this has been a very big wake-up call to me.
Well, if I recall, we did publish sort of a spread of them we included you in that, did we not?
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure.
Remember that it was all the covers, all in one issue.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And so I think actually you, so the way that it was like a nice crisscross, like a grid pattern almost of all of them, and a couple of them are like slightly larger to kind of give emphasis or whatever. And intelligently, you selected me to be one of the larger ones. So, but it is one of the best. I mean, honestly, the line it goes quick. It's easy. It's fun. You know what? And I really like too is it's, you know, you print it out with the good paper. It's not chintzy. It's something that I have obviously invested to frame them. You know, I like them. When I wasn't a remote worker pre-pandemic times, they hung in my office. Now they hang in my office at home. I will keep these and treasure them pretty much forever, and look forward to CMPX 2022 and beyond, whatever, to do another one, because I will definitely get online for that again. Super fun. This year, you can see, oops, I'm whacking my microphone because I'm so excited. One of them is a twofer. So the middle one is just me, and then the one on the far end is me with my colleagues, including Mr. Sokaris. So we came back again to get a full Centrotherm spread. You know, the inset that you included, the bathing suit edition, was a little, you know, aggressive, but you know, what we take it for the team here on Centrotherm.
Matthew wants a centerfold for the next issue.
We'll see if we can negotiate that.
And it is interesting you mentioned that. When I was going out traveling, I would see them in people's offices. Like, there are a number of people that would put them up in their office, and that really meant a lot to us, because it was very, very well received. And I can only imagine the number of contractors who have it up in their offices as well. So
it's a well-known book.
That's why I wanted to bring it up. It's definitely a highlight when you guys are at a show. You got to hit the mechanical business, you know, booth, and make sure you get your picture.
Yeah, thank you.
So it's funny. I was going to close with what's your favorite part of your job, but I think maybe that kind of thing is part of it. The fun. The fun stuff that you can do like that. I mean, and also, I mean, you do have an audience and a name to play with that people know. So this kind of thing is very enticing. I mean, like I said, I will be online again. So, Michael, you have any closing words?
Well, one of thanks. You know, we value our friendship and our collaboration in business. You guys run a top-notch trade publication in Canada. We were excited when you said yes to come join us. It's a different angle. You know, a lot of people don't think, you know, in a mechanical room, they don't think of, you know, the trades, but the publications, that is. But it is an integral part as a manufacturer, and, you know, the network and how we get our message out. And that's something that, you know, Centrotherm strives very, very carefully to get the right messaging and get the right word out there. And you are, you know, a conduit to help us do it well, and we appreciate your efforts and appreciate you joining us for today.
Well, thank you very much for the kind words. That's very, very nice of you guys to say, and we're very happy for the service that we're able to provide the industry to help get the messages out. And thank you very much for having me. This has been a lot of fun. So thank you. I appreciate the time.
Thank you.
You're quite welcome. I couldn't say it better than Mike, so I'll just say thanks for joining us, and we'll be right back with some more of the Mechanical Room.
Welcome back, everybody. That was a very fun and enlightening interview with Jeff. It was good to see him again. If you do not know mechanical business, if you do not follow Jeff on social media, please do. Always a wealth of information around the mechanical room. Busted a gut there in that interview as well. It was good to laugh. So the other thing I would like to say with Mr. Silva, congratulations. Again, if you do not follow him, make sure you reach out and find him on Instagram and follow him. There is a ton that you can learn. Another winner with diamond backplate again, Matthew. I'm really starting to think that is a requirement. I'm not sure, but I'm starting to feel that way.
Well, it's something that that certainly highlights all of the products. It really separates it from the backdrop, whether it's cinder block or whatever else is behind it. I mean, it's
black though, which I thought was interesting. So there's a little nuance there.
I mean, our man Silva's got style.
He does, actually. Didn't Terrence also say he likes to paint things in black and gold? So maybe it was a little shout out to Terrence. But as always, Silva does some beautiful work, and he always documents his work on Instagram. So please follow him. There's a ton to learn from the way he does things.
Yeah, he's more of a LinkedIn guy, but it does get out there. It's both. It's it's here and there. It's he's a trailblazer. He does whatever he wants. Whenever he feels like it. So it's a good, healthy mix. So, I mean, there are other times in which he sends me stuff just via email, too, that doesn't get posted. And, so you'll find some Silva stuff on the Centrotherm Instagram as well. So thank you to Eric. Thank you to Jeff. that's the wrap on April's The Mechanical Room. We will be back in the sunny month of May with more surprises and prizes. So thanks everybody for tuning in, and vent safely.